All right, that sound means we're starting our Voices of Inclusion speaker series for January, and we're so excited to have you all here with us today. We have a wonderful guest and a wonderful group of people here, and we will record this so that we can share it on our social media so even more people can be impacted by this conversation. Today here with us is Sarah Carroll. She is the Senior Director of Government Relations for Best Buddies International. So she works with all of our states, and I'll let her tell you more about what her job entails. But she's going to be speaking about a really great topic that we haven't really touched on so far in this series, the topic of belonging. So I'm going to zip it and I'm going to let Sarah take it away to tell us a little bit more about herself and about the topic, and then we're going to have lots of great dialogue. So let's get started. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. This is a really cool opportunity, and I'm very excited. I want to thank you, Millie, and the rest of the team in Philly for thinking of me. As Millie said, I do work for Best Buddies. I'm the Senior Director for Government Relations. I use she series pronouns. And I'll get started with a little bit of information about me that I want to share with you. I brought some visuals. So I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me. I wanted to share with you this information. I got married this year during the pandemic in Provincetown, which is at the tip of Cape Cod in Massachusetts, if you're not familiar with it. And I am actually sharing this for a couple of reasons, which I'll get back to later. So I got married during the pandemic. This is my wife, Dana, on the left, and my dog, Phoebe, the one with the fur. I love the reflection in Dana's glasses in this picture. And I love the way Phoebe looks so serious. This is my immediate family. And I'm an artist. When I'm not working for Best Buddies and doing other things, some of my colleagues, I think, may not even know this about me, but I make pottery. And these are some examples of recent pieces that I also made during the pandemic. It's a theme this year. So I'm from Watertown, Massachusetts. And I recently heard a really interesting concept from a colleague who grew up all around the world. She talked about a different way to approach the question, where are you from? Which is to ask, where or with whom do you feel at home? The idea among this person and her friends that grew up all over the world was that the question, where are you from, was kind of, the answer to that question was kind of complicated. And so in order to connect better with each other, they would ask, where or with whom do you feel at home? Another way to phrase that question would be, where or with whom do you feel you belong? And I will share with you that I feel that I belong in New England. I feel I belong in Montreal, Canada. It's another place where I feel I belong. I feel I belong in our home, around other queer people. I feel I belong. And I also feel I belong at the pottery studio, for example. So our topic today is belonging, and I wanted to invite you all to share either out loud or in the chat your answers to that question. Where do you feel you belong, or with whom do you feel you belong? This is an open-ended question. There's no wrong answer. Let's see. What's happening in the chat? Yeah. At my parents' house and in the car, with my family, with my friends. Absolutely. With my children. Yeah. At Best Buddies. Great. Can everybody see the chat? We've got a whole lot of responses coming up. If anyone would like to unmute and say some of your answers out loud, you can do that too. If you'd like to speak, just let
Sarah, do you want to stop sharing your screen and we'll see if we can see whose hands are up easier?
Oh, I can certainly do that, and then I'll come back to sharing when I'm ready for the next thing.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good idea.
I can just see whose hands up.
Yeah, awesome. Lisa, Holt.
Yeah. Hi. I wish I could be with Best Buddies now in person, and also on a nice warm island.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Yes.
I hear you loud and clear, Lisa.
It's so cold today.
She belongs somewhere tropical, I think.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
I love that answer too.
I think Nicolette had her hand up. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I feel belong and with who. So I do have a couple, like where I would say at college at Slippery Rock, because that's where I work. With who I would say my family, my friends, but also Best Buddies. I just feel like Best Buddies is my family.
We feel that way too.
Yeah. You're a person who belongs a lot of places. That's great, Nicolette. I see some really great thoughts in the chat as well. Hillary says in New York City and Washington, D.C. IKEA with my mom, my brother, and my dog, Max. With my husband and in my garden with my BB team. Thank you, Lisa. I'm part of that team. So that's a compliment. I also feel I belong with my BB team. That's a good one. Okay. Anybody else have any that? Oh,
sorry, I had bad communication.
Go ahead, Taylor. You have something you want to share?
Taylor.
My name's Taylor Edgar. I was born in Pittsburgh, and I've been a member of Best Buddies ever since 2012.
Awesome. Where do you feel like you belong, Taylor?
I feel like I belong as a part of the Best Buddies family.
Right on. That's awesome. All right.
I'll unmute.
Okay.
I'll mute.
That's great. You guys seem like real pros at this muting and unmuting thing. I'm totally comfortable with.
We get a lot of practice at this point.
Yeah. The way you're all handling it. It's awesome. One of the reasons I asked you this question about where do you feel you belong is because it's really key information, don't you think, about a person, to know where or with what, with whom people feel that they belong. It's an important thing to learn about someone and can help you connect beyond the surface. So to go a step further, I'm going to share my screen again and just give you, whoops. So we answered this first question all together. The next question is a little bit more meaty. And it will take a little bit more digging in. And here it is. Here's the next question. What is it about those places or people or animals that makes you feel you belong? So what are the qualities of those places? Hold your thoughts. We're going to break into groups because I think this deserves a little more time and focused attention where people can think and talk in a smaller group. So Andrew, the magician, if you would.
Yes. So I have, just as a warning for anyone who's new to breakout rooms, I've put you in groups of 3. Actually, it works out perfectly if that's okay with you, Sarah. And
Yeah.
You'll automatically go and I'll automatically come back. We'll put some warnings in terms of time in the chat. I think we said about 5 minutes, Sarah, for this question.
That sounds good to me. And if, there is this awkward thing about Zoom breakout rooms where the ending can be kind of abrupt. If we were in person, I'd be circulating and kind of paying attention and feeling it out to see if people need more time or want more time. Don't worry if your group gets cut. We'll be able to kind of finish in the big group, I think. It'll be all right. I remember feeling like the first time it happened, like, ooh, I was in the middle of a thought. So yeah, we'll try 5 minutes. Andrew, shall I put this question in the chat?
Yeah, I have it ready to go, but I'll also project it when they're in the room in case they forget.
You're wonderful. All right,
Yes.
I'll stop sharing so that we can all see each other.
All right. Welcome back. How
So
was that?
smooth, I love it. Well, it was not enough time.
Certainly not.
This is the thing about these breakouts. I love them. They're too fast.
I had a good
What did you guys think? Did you find you had enough time or what?
we each shared a little tidbit about what made us feel belonging, and I got to say hi to some friends I haven't seen in a while. So how about everybody else? You had a good breakout room?
Well, I just had one other person in my breakout room, so we were able to cover the topic in 3 minutes. So just Heather and I.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, in that case, let's open it up. What were the types of things that you talked about? Does anyone want to kick us off with what you came up with in your group? Angelina.
Well, I was in a group with Nicolette and Alden. I can't see her face. And Corey. Corey joined us too.
Hi, Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Yeah.
Great Valley High School. He's in West Buddies in Great Valley. So, so yeah, he joined us too for our breakout room, and we talked about how I belong to my family, and with Corey and my husband who's at work right now. And Corey feels like he belongs because he gets to listen to music all the time. So that's his usual answer for everything. I'm gonna go on mute now.
Okay. Thank you for being the brave first person to go. Anyone else like to share what you talked about in your group?
I can share.
Great.
I had mentioned how I feel like belonging is always changing, I mentioned how I feel really belonging with all of my friends, and I've had different friends through all walks of life, and they're always changing. And I feel like that's such an important thing is, you always seem to belong with new people all the time, which I think is a great thing. And, like my buddy Nikki and we just got matched a couple of months ago, and I feel like I belong with Nikki. And, there's always people that are going to be changing. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
That's a really cool point to make, that there's always new opportunities to find belonging in new places and with new people.
Right.
So what are the qualities that make it happen?
That make you find new friends, or
that make you feel like you belong with new people? What are the qualities? What happens
think it's all based on, you find those people that you mesh with and that you feel comfortable with,
Mhm.
and feel that sense of wanting to hang out with them and be with them, and you feel like you can be yourself with them, which I think is so important, and you feel like you don't have to change to be around them, and I think that's so important.
I feel like I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because for me, at least, maybe the way my brain works is I don't always think about, oh, I'm belonging right now, or I feel like I belong here. I always recognize it more when I don't feel that way. And we always think about instances or environments where we feel like we stick out or we're different. So to be more mindful of when you have a good dynamic around you and when you really feel accepted by others, I think is a good way to reset my brain.
That's a really good point, that it's almost easier to recognize when it's not happening.
Yeah. I think Sarah had her hand
Yep.
up.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Sarah.
I was in a group with Taylor and Ikea, and I think I second that, because as we talked about, even though we were talking about different places, different people, belonging and just being yourself. And so Taylor talked about being with his family and just being able to be himself and feeling comfortable. Ikea talked about being in her room and in her space and her family allowing that, where she can listen to her music. And I shared that I feel like I belong at work because I can be myself. And in addition, we all work on the same things and believe in the same things and helping people and feel good about that. But just being able to be yourself and feeling like people accept you for who you are.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That one was full of gold. That
Some gems coming out of it. I think Nicolette had her hand up.
Yeah. Okay. I did, yeah. So I'm gonna just pull Best Buddies because of I feel that I belong in Best Buddies because there is tons of there's tons of acceptance, there's tons of respect, there's tons of different friends. I can see a huge growth between me and Sam. And I definitely do see there's tons of opportunities that I can get involved in.
That's the goal. So I'm glad to hear you feel that way. That's great.
Yeah.
Back, Hillary, write that down.
I think that an important part of feeling accepted is feeling understood, like people get you.
Yeah.
And maybe aren't judging you.
Yep.
I shared that for me, it's much more about the people I'm with than the place I'm in. So when I was in college, I spent a year in France, and I remember feeling really homesick there. I really liked it, but I was really homesick. And I remember thinking, wow, how can I be over here enjoying myself, but I really am so homesick. And then a few years later, after I had my kids and we all went on a trip together, my husband and my two kids and me, I just didn't feel homesick at all. And I remember thinking, I could stay here for a year. I could live here. I could stay here forever because they're all here with me. And that's the only thing I really need right now. So that was a really enlightening moment to me, that it had nothing to do with the place I was in.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That it seems by the nodding that a lot of people relate in this group to that. One of the reasons I wanted to explore this question is because it's harder than it seems. And to initially think, it's like, well, it's a feeling, and when you belong somewhere with some people, and how do you kind of pull out what are those ingredients? And you all have hit on the ones I could think of, plus a bunch more. I loved hearing the idea of acceptance and the absence of judgment, and also the idea that Liz in our group said, come as you are. Like the people that I feel I belong with, that's what that's what they want. They want me to come as myself, not as not as someone, you know, that I'm trying to be or someone different. And I liked how IKEA mentioned that, you know, she feels she belongs in her room and her family gives her that space. They know that that's comfort, that that's acceptance. And that's kind of similar, Angelina, it seemed to me like maybe what you were saying about Corey, which I love. So you all are experts, it turns out, in belonging. So I wanted to bring up a couple things. So the idea of bringing your whole self to a situation, to your job, to your friendships, to your school, to your family, is kind of the essence of belonging and feeling like your ideas and your perspective and your contributions matter in that setting. There's a, you know, one of the driving forces behind setting up this space for conversation is the idea that a lot of businesses and nonprofits have had their eyes opened by the events of this summer. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are critical topics, and one of the ways that the idea for this talk came about was that in an ideal scenario, which is kind of rare, inclusion, diversity, and equity come together, and belonging is kind of in the overlap, right? It's in the space where those things, those conditions all exist together. If you have one or two, it's very hard to create a setting where people can experience belonging. And I wanted to share two examples that that I hope might kind of spur some thought on your end and maybe some questions. Here's the first one. So this is sort of related to my job in government relations with Best Buddies. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking how belonging comes up all the time, just all the time, even though we don't necessarily name it. So I wanted to share this kind of idea that, the IDEA Act, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, says that people with disabilities in the US are entitled to a free and appropriate public education. Every student with disabilities in the least restrictive environment. And that's, the language, and it's very broad. And it, it set the stage for all kinds of things to happen in education, including, classroom inclusion. And we talk a lot about inclusion in Best Buddies world and how important inclusion is, but there's kind of more to it. And what I was thinking about was how a lot of times in my job, when I'm talking with an elected official, what I'm doing is trying to help them understand that physical inclusion, being in the room, is just a piece of the puzzle, and that you may have, federal laws, or you may have state regulations that mandate physical inclusion. And so people are in the same room, but then what? And so what I'm trying to do a lot in my job is talking to government officials about kind of making that link and how Best Buddies can be a bridge in that environment, and help through relationships that are built on trust and acceptance and non-judgment, and getting to know someone, you know, for who they are, can build a bridge between physical inclusion and a sense of belonging, which is what is meaningful, you know, for people in life. So I did want to share that. That's just a little bit about what I think about when I'm working, and when I'm out trying to share why Best Buddies is important, why, you know, why belonging matters. And the other thing, this is the part where I talk a little bit. I hope you don't mind. But I just want to share one more thing, which is about pronouns. You may have noticed that in the very beginning, when I introduced myself, I shared my pronouns. I use the she series pronouns, she, her, and hers. And I wanted to share this as an idea for a way that an organization or a company can foster a sense of belonging among people that work there. And so here's the idea. It's, you know, it could be seen as logical that the only people that would need to share their pronouns are those that use the ones that are less common. Like if you use they, them pronouns, then, you know, that's what we need to know. But a simple way to foster belonging regarding gender, for example, is to start a meeting where everyone says their pronouns, or putting them in your email signature. And that type of action helps create a new norm, a new expectation whereby everybody, no matter what their gender identity, you know, shares what they prefer. And that means that anybody, you know, would feel more comfortable or safe bringing their whole self into that workplace. So does that make sense? Yeah, okay. I think about that type of thing a lot because it's a relatively simple step. It's a relatively simple idea, and a way to, you know, a way to kind of go beyond inclusion, right? So, and a way to go beyond, you know, say you're making sure that you know, you're hiring people of diverse genders. But if those people don't feel a sense of belonging, then it's a problem. So, anyway, I would love for us to break out again for another 5 minutes. And my question to you is the following. What are some ways you can think of, some ideas that you have about fostering belonging in your communities where maybe it's needed, at home, at school, or at work? Think about the ideas that you came up with in the first breakout about the qualities that help create belonging, and think about some ideas for how you might foster belonging in the communities that you function in. Does that sound good for a next breakout? Okay. Andrew, do your bit.
Yeah.
And we're back. Welcome back for your breakout room, everybody.
Thank you for putting in the effort for that second one. It is Friday afternoon, and I really appreciate all of you putting your thoughts to this important topic. Is there anyone? Yeah, I think Millie did miss a career in broadcasting, although there's still time for more careers. Like, let's not, she's not 100 like that guy in the photo behind her, or 160 or whatever. is there anyone who would like to share an idea that came out of your conversation in that last one?
See some
Lisa,
hands.
Lisa and Nicolette have hands up. Do you want to, are you, okay.
Yeah, I unmuted myself. I would like to see parents or their caregivers at a young age included what the parents are talking about, and also have more people, more companies hire people with disabilities and with autism, because some of the workshops they only pay piece rate, and it's not fair to get piece rate. I think they should get the regular rate like other people do.
Yeah. Yeah, those 2 points are well heard. Lisa, thank you.
You're welcome.
Definitely well said. Nicolette?
Yes, I also have 2 points. So the first point I said was helping with the employment factor. So having the employees with the employees who have like different needs feel the acceptance in work. And
Yes,
the
ma'am.
other second thing is in schools. I feel there are some bullying, there's some not respectful things, and I feel that I want the individual with different needs to have that respect towards other people.
Absolutely. Respect is a key ingredient of belonging, no question. And it fits into so many different actions that you can take to increase belonging. Liz Wolford?
Sorry, I was like, is that what I'm supposed to do? I was part of Nicolette's group. It was Nicolette, myself, and Taylor. And I wanted to share the other thing when we were talking about acceptance and feeling part of a community is we were also discussing being able to give back and contribute and help other people in that community, and how we were all saying if you feel like you can help or contribute to somebody, that you feel more accepted and part of that community. And I thought that was helpful to hear and think about and listen. So it was a good conversation.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Kind of equitable opportunity to work together, contribute towards something together. Yeah, very good. Very good point. Lisa Dirks, where'd you go? Would you be willing to share what you said in our group?
Oh, sure. And can I just say that for both groups, Sarah and I were put in the same group randomly and worked together on the same team. So I'm just kind of hilarious. I was saying that I think that you need to value what others bring, even when it's different from you, or maybe especially when it's different from you, whether that's their viewpoint, their experience, their idea. It's part of respect to give people a listen, to have a discussion, to have a debate. You know, if you don't feel valued, I think it's really hard to feel like you belong somewhere if you feel like you're not valued.
Absolutely. That's a good point about groups that maybe you don't choose. So like, you know, group of friends, you know, you choose those people. But a work group, a team at work, you know, you may have some choice, but it's especially key, I think, in those situations, because it's so easy to feel like your input maybe isn't welcome. And for a leader or other members of the team to make clear that, you know, this is an environment where everyone's input has value, it's very meaningful. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Brandy. Yes. Absolutely true. Alden, bringing up animals. Where are you? There you are. It seems like we are kind of the same mind in some ways. I agree with you. Animals don't judge, do they? They take you as you are. Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right. Anyone else? Lisa?
Yeah. When sometimes I watch YouTube and sometimes I see people, they make their own coffee shop or their own restaurant for people with disability. I would love to start some kind of program, but that's costs lots of money. You have to find a building, you have to do math and sign papers, do a lot of stuff. My dad used to be, he used to own a company, but he's deceased now. And there's a lot of work. And how can some of the people on YouTube make it? That's what I don't understand.
Hmm.
You ever watch the little clips on YouTube?
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I may have seen some of those. Yeah. It sounds like you are a person with a lot of aspirations. You know, it would be really fun, Lisa, to talk more with you about that. I'm really interested in your ideas about employment and what what you'd like to do. You have yeah. Thank you.
Lisa, you're talking about my dream, Lisa. Maybe I think if we can gather enough support and get our investors together, Lisa, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
Like have a best buddy on one side and the restaurant on another side.
I mean, this is the start of a big idea, I think. So.
And this group, I mean, clearly this is a group of people who understand intuitively how to make sure that other people involved in the project feel valued and belong. I can tell that this is a group that thinks about that a lot. Well, we've reached the end of our time. I want to thank you all for your thoughtfulness and your creativity. And I hope that you'll continue to have conversations with people that maybe think about some ideas that maybe haven't occurred to you yet about how to foster belonging and your new job or whatever dream you're pursuing. Lisa Holt. Thank you very much for having me.
Email? Do you want my email?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the business partner I've been looking for right here.
I can give it to Elise.
Yeah, we'll make sure you guys connect. But before everybody goes, I just have to say a huge thank you to Sarah for being here with us today. I loved these conversations. I loved getting to chat with some. Oh, look, you're getting applause and everything. So before we sign off, if you can and if you want to, give us a big smile direct to camera, and I will freeze this frame in the video so we can share a nice picture of our time together. So if your camera's off, put it on for a second and flash a smile. You look beautiful. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone who joined us. Oh, look, we have all the cameras on.
This is it.
Rare occasion. All right, I'll stop talking for a second. Cheese. Friday. All right. So big thanks to everybody for being here with us, and stay tuned to our social media. We'll be posting this video and we'll share information about our next speaker series. We would love for you to join us again next time. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.